things that like online, because it's that's really what it is. It's the photographs and stuff come through the feed,
right?
And I was like, what? Like, because she had like
because she did put it out
stuck
there.
under the bed, like the booty's up in the air, with her head stuck under the bed. At 60.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh.
Y'all, not 50 Cent leaking some exclusive Freakoff footage that Terrence Howard sent him about Diddy's Freakoffs. Well, Terrence Howard is finally spilling the tea on Diddy, and trust, it's piping hot. For years, he's been vocal about how he was basically forced out of the industry after refusing to play along with some of the shady business. Well, now with these new revelations about Diddy, it seems we're finally getting a look at just who all these powerful people were. But Diddy is not the only one caught up in this, because Terrence had a little something to say about Diddy's boo, Young Miami. He's making claims about how Young Miami was allegedly at these freak-offs, but the real tea here is the things he allegedly caught her doing on camera. Because y'all, it's nastier than you could ever imagine. This situation is about to be wild, so let's break it all the way down. The tea that Terrence Howard is spilling about Diddy is nothing short of insane. The wild part about this? He spilled the tea unprovoked, because nobody even knew he had dirt on Diddy in the first place. A couple of days ago, he sat down for a podcast interview, and let's just say he had some things to get off his chest about Diddy. And from the sound of it, his experience wasn't too different from what a bunch of other folks have been saying about Diddy for years now. Yeah, all that stuff about the alleged shady behavior trying to lure people into uncomfortable or messy situations. Well, Terrence said Diddy hit him up talking about he needed help with his acting. Which is interesting because we know Diddy acts here and there, but not like all the time. I mean, he's made appearances on a few shows, but nothing so serious that he'd need an acting coach from Terrence Howard. But anyway, Terrence pulled up thinking it was all business. Once he got there, though, Diddy started acting real different, like he had some other plans. But Terrence made it real clear, real quick, that he does not play those types of games, and he wasn't here for none of that. So he shut him all the way down.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
Allegedly, he also wanted to make it clear that he wasn't the only one Diddy had tried to put moves on. He claimed that Diddy allegedly put moves on every single man who had attended his parties. He said, "Them men lost their man cards at those Diddy parties."
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man.
It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It looks like nobody's really safe at Diddy's parties, 'cause it's looking real shady out here. But what's wild is that it ain't even Terrence's first time speaking on this kind of shady behavior in Hollywood. He's actually been saying it for a minute now that he got punished and pushed out of the game because he wasn't willing to play by their rules. A few years back, Terrence opened up about what he says was the real reason he dipped out of the industry and called it quits on acting. And no, it wasn't just because he was tired or not getting roles. He said straight up that Hollywood was trying to strip him of his manhood. However, once he took his stand, that's when folks started calling him difficult and acting like he was the problem. It's the same old setup we've seen so many times with females in the industry. As soon as somebody speaks out or refuses to fall in line, the industry flips the script on them. So when he popped up talking about how he was retiring from acting back in December 2022, folks were definitely caught off guard. The timing had people scratching their heads because it still seemed like he was landing big roles, and the fan base was solid. There was no drama out in the open, no scandal that would have pushed him out the game like that. But according to Terrence, there was more going on behind the scenes. He said the industry was trying to put him in some real uncomfortable situations, stuff he felt was meant to strip away his manhood. And when he pushed back and said no, he claimed Hollywood didn't take too kindly to that. Next thing we know, he was out. He eventually came out of retirement, but he's still moving real cautiously. Since stepping back into the spotlight, Terrence hasn't been shy about pulling the curtain back on what he says is the shady side of the entertainment world. One thing he keeps calling out is the pressure he felt to wear a dress on screen, something he stood 10 toes down against. According to him, those scenes had nothing to do with the story and seemed like they were just meant to clown him or chip away at his manhood. Sounds a lot like Kat. And let's be clear, this ain't some brand new conversation. Over the years, quite a few black male actors have said the same thing, that producers try to push them into wearing dresses in movies or skits where it didn't even make sense. Cat Williams said the same thing when he sat down with Club Shay Shay. He talked a lot about the whole emasculation issue. He revealed that it's way more common in Hollywood than folks might think. According to Cat, the pressure to throw on a dress or act in ways that are feminine and chip away at a man's masculinity usually comes packaged with a real sweet deal. He went on to say that he's actually turned down fat checks more than once because of this exact issue.
That's to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
I need to know. You here, get your number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on. Because early on you was accusing me of being...
You've been down bad ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby for 10 years. You've been around as AB that eats P and D when he felt like it. You AB that was crying on Tasha K cause you wanted a baby. Poor Sushi. She continued, you wanted a baby, B? I have a career, ho. You a certified freak. You haven't heard from Diddy since the awards, reminiscing on getting rid of babies. Let that hurt go, Chun-Li. If I wanted you to eat me, Diddy would have had you on your knees. You A.B. You a munch, not the munch. But don't even get me started on how she allegedly bullied one of Diddy's other side pieces when she got pregnant with Diddy's baby. The court documents say that the woman, choosing to stay anonymous and filing as Jane Doe, was reportedly coerced into taking substances at Diddy's house. It said, in July of 2022, Jane Doe traveled at Defendant Combs' command to his home in Los Angeles. While in Defendant Combs' bathroom, Jane Doe was compelled to ingest an unknown substance. Jane Doe later learned it was or contained ketamine and or other substances, which caused her to black out and lose consciousness intermittently throughout the night. Jane Doe did not consent to ingesting ketamine or any other substances. She went on to claim that while she was passed out from the substances, she woke up with bruises all over her body, indicating that something bad had happened to her while she was unconscious. She wrote, Combs would make her perform a show for him and would ply her with alcohol and substances until she passed out. She would wake up with bruising and injuries, but with no recollection of how she sustained them. This continued until July of 2024. She went on to claim that she eventually got pregnant with Diddy's baby, which caused Young Miami to allegedly bully her until she had a miscarriage. The document said, shortly thereafter, Jane Doe took a pregnancy test, which was positive. The lawsuit against Combs continues. Jane Doe informed Defendant Combs of the positive test. Carrie Shaw Brownlee, Defendant Combs' associate, harassed Jane Doe by repeatedly calling her and telling her to have a termination. Jane Doe suffered a miscarriage and did not speak to Defendant Combs or his team for approximately 3 months. Yes, y'all, Carrie Shaw Brownlee is Young Miami of City Girls. And it's not hard to believe that Young Miami would go after a woman like that. given how hard, she crashed out when Diddy had a baby with another woman back in 2022. And then there's Lil Rod's lawsuit, in which he made even more disturbing claims about Young Miami. Allegedly, not only was she heavily involved, but she also had some other relatives involved as well. In this updated lawsuit, he alleged that Young Miami wasn't just a guest at Diddy's parties where the questionable activities may have taken place. She was also a silent witness to everything that happened. He even pointed out a specific incident where Diddy reportedly had Young Miami's cousin attempt to essay him at an event. He wrote, "Mr. Combs was intoxicated and offered cocaine to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones rejected him and proceeded to walk to the restroom. While using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to essay him. As she entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral action on Mr. Jones's exposed privates. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom." It continued, "Young Miami's cousin did not accept Mr. Jones's rejection. She proceeded to follow Mr. Jones out of the bathroom, started undressing, and attempted to straddle him and have intimacy with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff." The document also said, "On another occasion in Miami, Florida, on Thanksgiving night 2022, Mr. Combs asked Mr. Jones and DeForest Taylor to enter the studio bathroom. He asked them for a $100 bill because he wanted them to do nose candy with him. Mr. Jones was scared, but luckily he didn't have a $100 bill. So Mr. Combs waited a little later to do nose candy with Young Miami." He also accused Young Miami of allegedly helping Diddy to transport substances, as well as bringing substances to Diddy whenever he needed it, no matter where he was. According to the court documents, the plaintiff and the Combs RICO enterprise were rehearsing for something in the Water Festival in Virginia. The court filing reads, "Lift Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs do a few lines of coke in his dressing room. Defendant Sean Combs wanted 2A, but Brendan forgot it. So defendant Christina Carorm then brought it on the jet from Miami." He went on to accuse Young Miami of being an S-worker for Diddy and getting a monthly payment in exchange for her services. The court document said, "Young Miami, Jade, and Daphne Joy were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' S-workers and received payment via wire transfer from Robin Greenhill, which outlined defendant's ongoing criminal operation." So there have been multiple accounts of people linking Young Miami to Diddy, and it looks like 50 Cent allegedly has some videos of her caught in 4K. And honestly, 50 Cent is the last person you want having tea on you, because that man is as petty and messy as they come. And when you factor in his beef with Diddy, which has been going on for more than 20 years, well,